Welcome, dear friends, to Cardiac Radio at 11 p.m. We are here to nourish our souls. And we need to nourish our souls because we are immortal beings that have free will and consciousness. As co-creators, we are given the opportunity to choose what we want to think, what we want to feel. I agree with you that for many lives, we have just felt or done things automatically, impulsively or instinctively. But now we are aware more than ever. This is the life that we have been more aware than ever about what we think, what we feel, and the more we pay attention to it, the more we will potentially evolve. Self-knowledge is essential. Self-knowledge begins with self-awareness. Self-regulation is part of it. So, self-awareness depends on observation. Many of us pay constant attention to the external, but it begins with us. We need to work on our zone of control, which is ourselves. The more we work in this zone of control, the happier we'll be, because then we'll trim it down and share the good. So we don't need to control anything external to us. But Vanessa, I know many people who don't know what they are doing. It depends. Are they children? Because if they are your children, you have to help. But we don't help our children by controlling them. We help them by facilitating their development. And when we're talking about adults, it's not on us to change anybody. If we still cherish the illusion of changing anybody, we will bump our heads until the day we find out it's not possible to change anybody. No. So what do? Change myself. I can stimulate and encourage others, but I cannot actually change anybody. In the book Living Spring, chapter 73, there is a message that talks about it, how we can encourage others, be fraternal. But our focus is on ourselves. That's not selfishness. That's self-love. That's the care that God wants us to do towards ourselves. Right? Teresa Castro is saying, can't make a tulip grow by pulling on it. Beautiful. Love it, Teresa. Hello, friends. Welcome, Nora Brasil. Edwin, how have you been? Como estás? In La Linda, Guatemala. Paula, how have you been? Big hug to you. John the Rosa, how have you been? Daisy, here you are. And Rihanna, how have you been? And Felicia, hope everything is well. So, happy birthday to Luana. Beautiful pictures. I had some time to browse through. Beautiful. Happy birthday to Luana. Super hug to her. Many blessings. May she feel the protection of the Christ as she proceeds to the next stages of her life. A new cycle, new experiences, new opportunities. Our support. Sunshine, how have you been? Thank you. Carol Correia, here you are. Good to see you, safe and sound. Teresa, thank you very much. Thank you, Sol. Chapter 32 of the book Jesus in the Home, titled Victorious Faith. We're talking about focusing on ourselves in our zone of control. When we focus on others, strange feelings pop up. That's what Andrew was talking about. So Andrew, says Neio Lucio, was pointing out certain difficulties involved in spreading the new redemptive principles of which the Master was a messenger. Making reference to the Pharisees with a passionate bitterness, Andrew urged his fellow disciples to form an organized resistance movement. Jesus, however, had been listening with imperturbable tolerance to the angry discussion, and as soon as he got everyone quieted down, he asserted. So pause for a second. Jesus is so fascinating. Of course, they were at Peter's home, free zone for conversations, right? They were talking about the Pharisees, how hard it was to come across with the teachings of Jesus. So they thought about the resistance movement. How did Jesus feel? He didn't get disturbed. That's so interesting because we're learning emotional shielding. Emotional shielding. Okay? We know about the phenomenon of emotional contagion. What is it? It's psychological and physiological, and spiritus moods add spiritual. Why we're saying this? Think about it. Kardec in the book Genesis says, in an environment, the quality of the energies depend on our thoughts and feelings. So if here I have good thoughts, good feelings, the quality of these energies will be fluids, he calls. It's going to be beneficial, healthy. And the same happens, on the other hand, when we have negative feelings, negative thoughts. Jesus saw the way they were behaving, but he had so much self-control, he didn't disturb himself with the anger that he was perceiving from others. So now we're visualizing it. Visualize it. Because if you can visualize it, your brain, spiritually and physically, is capturing, our brains are capturing that image to form the pathway so one day we can display the same. So he's showing to us that Jesus was seeing that angry group and he didn't disturb himself. He kept himself calm, tolerant. Tolerance in Spiritism is not simply to put up with people's shortcomings. It means to respect people's ways of being. But let's see, Jesus is respecting as an educator. He's not trying to control, to repress, to suppress. He's thinking of the lesson he's now going to relay to the group. So as soon as everybody quieted down, he asserted. So another element, he didn't interrupt, he didn't disturb, he didn't cut them out. He waited. Why? Because when people are in the angry mode, we cannot boost the discernment. You know why? Think about the brain. Let's say this is the brain, okay? The nose is here. Look at this. The nose is here. This is the cortex. The spinal cord is right here. So when anger is happening, we have an area named amygdala in the middle of the brain that is highly activated to modulate it. It's in the midbrain of the brain. You don't need the cortical areas to process anger. Actually, the cortical areas are shut down. And to talk to people and bring them to their senses, meaning boosting the discernment, you need to activate the cortex. When we have anger, the cortex, the prefrontal cortex areas that are related to discernment are shut down. Why? Because anger is considered a defense mechanism, survival. So it's not time to contemplate, think, reflect. We need to survive, fight or flight. So you can't bring people to discernment when they are angry. They need to quiet down. Jesus knew it. He operated that way. Good lesson for us. When somebody is angry, talking to them is not going to help. What do? Breathe in and out and pray, let them be, including children. They are angry. You don't go there and force a scenario. It's going to be worse. Let them be. Let adults and children be. When they are quiet, the prefrontal cortex is liberated, then we can talk. Okay, so that's a rule of thumb. We are learning now with Jesus. But science explains to us the reason why the master was so right. So he waited for everybody. So first, he didn't contaminate himself, because he boosted his tolerance. Tolerance, chapter 25 of the book Thought and Life. In that chapter, Emmanuel says tolerance is foundational for progress. We need to respect people's ways of being without the need to make them change. So tolerance is key for shielding ourselves when people are not well. Many people ask, how do I protect myself? Be tolerant. But how? Well, let's say somebody is eating with their mouth open. And then we look at it and we're like, oh my gosh, that's disgusting. We may not say it, but we feel it, like, oh my gosh, that's so disgusting. Bad manners. Intolerance. That's our intolerance. We are intolerant. The minute I judge, I connect. And I start feeling what others are feeling. So what do? Compassion, tolerance. I look at the person and say, they must be very in a hurry. They must be, I don't know, unaware of it. How often we do things we're not even aware because our minds are elsewhere. We give the person a break, and we're not gonna feel it. One way of shielding ourselves is to do what? Be tolerant. Boost our understanding. To shield ourselves. 2, when people are angry, we don't try to convince them of anything. And 3, when you need to speak, Jesus is speaking with conviction. He asserted. What did he say? Are you ready? No school of religion will triumph with God if it is devoid of love, which is our responsibility to cultivate towards one another. Okay? No school of religion will triumph with the Father if it's devoid of love, which is our responsibility to cultivate toward one another. Yes, we need to care for each other. We have our differences, but do you pray for the friends who are in your spiritist center? Do we pray? We do things differently, but that doesn't mean we need to be enemies. We shouldn't. We need to be friends. Of course, when we are in a community, we prioritize the general good. In spite of it all, we have our one-on-one relationship. And we need to work on it from the inside out. Meaning it. Sending thoughts of, I believe in the good of people. The other day, I was talking to friends who know a particular spiritual teacher named Victor Landa. He was the leader of the Essene Church of Peace in Bethesda, Maryland. And he used to tell people, let's assume the best of people. He's right. We need to assume the best because people are children of God. So we need to tell ourselves and one another, I believe in the divine in me, and so I believe in the divine in everybody. I believe in the good. People may be unaware, obsessed, but their essence is divine. We cannot despise even an animal because animals, plants, are children of God too. Even the rocks, the minerals, everything is a production of God. So, matter and spirit are elements of the universe, created by God, creatures of God. And Amanda Andrade is kindly affirming here, thank you Amanda, I believe in the good. So let us repeat to ourselves, I believe in the good of me. I believe in the good of others. I believe in the divine of me, and I believe in the divine of others. Let us invest. It's a daily investment on the good. So Jesus is telling us we cannot make a community go on without love. Where does this love come from? What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. No, it's not dance time. We're talking about love that comes from God. Never hurts us. We all are children of God. Our essence is love. We need to let it flow. So Jesus is saying, we need to let it flow. Well, but people are like, what is that? What are you talking about? Right? He knew it. And then Neio Lucio says, and perhaps because of justified expectation was expressed regarding the moral teaching that his divine words of wisdom could weave, Jesus began very calmly, like a kindergarten teacher, Montessori style, parable. He is telling us a story. In the times of early faith, 3 primitive men settled with their families in a large forest. And after having lived in fraternal harmony for a time, they began to argue about the nature of the Creator. One of them insisted that the Almighty lived in the thunder. Another believed that the Father resided in the wind. And the third, that he lived in the sun. All 3 of them felt they were his sons, but they wanted at all costs to stick to their own individual opinions. After harsh verbal altercations, they turned to fighting openly. One of the 3 was armed with a large supply of ore, another with a great pile of stones, and the third had hidden behind a pile of wood. Thus pieces of firewood and crude stones were the weapons they would use in the great conflict. All of them invoked the protection of the Supreme Lord for their families, and then they threw themselves into the fray. The conflict escalated to the point that they went throughout the forest, harming both trees and animals, until the all-compassionate one sent them a friendly angel. The messenger visited their forts in the guise of an ordinary man, and insisted of taking away the tools with which they were destroying living things. He told them that all three of their traditions were invaluable in their own way. He told them that they only needed to take a new approach. He explained that all three were right in the belief that nourished their souls, because God lives in the sun that sustains his creatures, in the wind that helps nature, and in the thunder that renews the atmosphere. And with a lot of patience, the angel explained that the Creator can only be honored by means of dignified and profitable work, by teaching the first one to transform the hard pieces of ore into tools with which to till the earth during the planting season. The second one, by converting his wood into valuable pieces for well-being. And the third, by using the stones to build comfortable shelters. To everything was to be added the good doctrine of working for everyone's progress and evolution. The three contenders thus understood the greatness of victorious faith through constructive acts, and the discord ended for good. The master made a short pause and added, "In matters of religion, all believers have respectable reasons for holding to it, and they have invaluable abilities that should be made use of to enhance life and time, thereby glorifying the Father. But when people hold on to heaven's blessings and do nothing for others and for themselves, they are like a miser who dives headlong into the hell of thirst and hunger in order to wrongly hide the wealth that God has loaned them. For this very reason, faith does not help, teach. Faith that does not help, teach, or console is no more than dark vanity of the heart." A heavy silence fell over everyone. Andrew lowered his timid eyes in order to better grasp the enlightening message. You think they got it? No. There are people at Jesus' time who still couldn't understand. So for us, what does it matter? That we do the good. Simple. He's saying, if we really believe in God, we need to be co-creators with consciousness and do the good. For example, you're home, your family is there, you're tired, everybody's tired, and we think, I'm tired, I'm gonna lay down. Everybody thinks the same, I'm gonna lay down. So who's gonna cook? Who's gonna clean? Who's gonna do laundry? Oh, but it's always me. But if we do with love, do you think people are not gonna join you? I think they will. I think when we start doing the dishes with love, when we start sweeping the floor, vacuuming with love, and smiling, joyful, people are like, oh my gosh, maybe that's the secret of happiness. Right? Let us also clean the house. Maybe that's what we're missing. When we starting doing things with love, people look at us and they are like, oh, I'm gonna join you. But if we start washing the dishes like in a grumpy mood, oh my gosh, everybody runs away. Nobody wants to clean anything, help anyone. So that's the secret. From our homes to our workplaces, to our spiritual centers, churches, communities. If we do it with love, if we work for the benefit of all, with all of our hearts, thinking, you know, I'm not in charge of people, God is. I'm gonna do my part with love as a way to be grateful to God. Done, right, Melissa? So true. Hello, Raza, Anna Dilson, Michelle, how are you? Rosie, beautiful Rosie, Rudy, thank you for joining us. Andrea Torres, Marisa, Shalaf, Hercules, Nina Dui, Lívia Moraes, Justina Martiri, Jailton. What a joy to have you all here, friends. So, if we do it with love. But Vanessa, how do we convince people? No, you don't. That's what Jesus is saying. Don't waste your time convincing anybody. Let's not waste our time. Wherever we go, bring love. Let's bring love. The other day, we were watching and we were able to finish the movie. And I recommend. It's a movie, The Jersey Boys, about Frank Valley and the Four Seasons. I didn't know their history. And it's very interesting because many of these beautiful love songs were produced by them. You know that feeling? Yeah? The love is in our hearts. For everyone, beginning at home, beginning with our body. When we take a shower, we look at the cells and we say cutie patooties to the little cells. You know, cutie patootie little cells. Thank you so much for being with me the whole day without complaining. So I go there, give it a shower, use some cream or oil, and I give what it needs, and I say I'm gonna give you better food, healthier food. Start with the body. If I love myself, I am respecting and worshiping God. These cells are best friends in the incarnate plane. So we need to reassess this inner care so we don't need to control elsewhere. Okay? In the next 24 hours, the good spirits are asking us, shall we practice this? This what? Love. This inner love. As Jesus is saying here, we need a faith in God that helps, teaches, and consoles, or it's mere vanity. But it begins with us. When we take care of ourselves, then we don't need to fix anybody anymore. We take care of ourselves, the physical body, the house, the family, the friends, so on and so forth. And then it's just a domino effect of love. Okay? In the next 24 hours, recharge our faith, boosting it. It's a booster of faith, victorious faith. We don't need to change anybody. We just keep doing the good everywhere we go. Shall we? Do the good, do the good, do the good, and keep writing. Do the good, 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 do the good. And if you're physically tired, rest. Continue doing the good in the afterlife. Okay, friends? Visualize, says Carol Correa, that our Master is in our home with us. Yes, always. Tomorrow when we come back, we will be studying with Jesus about a divine plea. Let's wait. For now, we're inviting you to wrap up with a prayer. An intercontinental prayer, feeling this connection. Shall we, friends? Let us feel the presence of Jesus. His loving, calming presence, reassuring us. Jesus, it's so good to learn with you. Thank you for bringing God so close to us as a parent, the parent. And thank you for being so patient with us and for reminding us tonight that we don't need to enforce, control, worry about anything. Trusting in you and doing our part, we know that you are taking care of all of us. So, all the worries in our hearts, we pass it on to God, trusting deeply that everything is all right, and all we need to do is co-create in love, in peace, and in light. Thank you so much, Jesus, for bringing your calmness to us and for reassuring us about the unconditional love that sustains our lives. And so be it. Thank you, friends. Thank you, Karina. A kiss and a hug. Until tomorrow, God willing.